bastards. Today, I want to talk about my thoughts about the nearby future. Nearby is a broad concept in terms of prepping. Can be 10 years, 20, 50, maybe this century. But these are problems that I think that are about to happen based on the data what I hear, gather from the news sources, as well as mainstream as independent news sources, and the prepper community. So, what can what do I expect for the future? Well, the first and foremost danger that is like above us, like a sort of the Damocles, is climate change. So, climate change. What are the predictions? Well, first of all, there are already problems with the polar vortex, which is like a cold wind stream that goes from the North Pole and it bends off in a in another way since the last years. What problems does this give? Well, the problems are there will be more extreme storms, there will be more droughts. What especially in the center of great land masses. Because what happens, like in the center of the United States, Canada, Russia, China, center of Europe, African countries, and South America, and the water get pulled from the sea, dry air goes over the big land masses, but the problem is when the temperature is rising, those land masses in the center they get the water in the soil get vaporized. So that's a huge problem for agricultural means to say. So prepare for bad harvests uh, around the world, not everywhere perhaps, but there will be some problems in certain areas with food production. The next thing about climate change is the melting the of a what of a ice. What ice do we talk about? Well, first of all, in the Antarctica, large masses of ice are breaking off. The last, when you look at the satellites images, there is still every year there is less and less ice growing. It's always decreasing, and it's been this year a very alarming amount of ice that is gone away. A great plate that broke off and driving away into the ocean to warmer water. So that's a problem. There's Greenland with all the landmass with ice on it. We have in the colder areas the how do you say this in English? The glaciers. Is that the word? Yes, I think so. And the permafrost. When those things melt, there will be a lot of water into the sea. Sea rises, and that's a huge problem for most coastal cities around the world. Most cities and civilizations were built at at water or coastal regions and rivers. So when those goes up, there will be a huge exodus, a huge migrant crisis. Talking about migrant crisis, they're in areas where it's already warm, like the Middle East, Northern African countries, and other desert areas. There is going to be a huge problem of drought, and the temperature will rise. The average temperature will rise so high, human life may be very difficult. In some areas, perhaps impossible. This will lead to a migrant crisis like we never seen before. So also think when I talked about the water, the sea, the water rising, a lot of countries are actually under the sea level. There are certain islands in the Pacific. There is Bangladesh, which has a lot of dikes. When those break or flood, millions of people will have to will have to move. And also a little example is the Netherlands. Although they have a, a water system to keep the water out, but how long will it last? But with when the extreme storms are coming. So that's the first problems I can see. So how do we prepare for that? I would say have a backup plan ready, storing a lot of supplies. I'm talking about food for years. Uh, make sure your finances are in order because when the when these problems all arise, production will slow down or even sometimes stop. Goods will get more expensive. Life will get more expensive. So beware of that. Make your finances in order. Don't make too many debt and try to live more frugal. To say so. What I foresee next in the future is technological and cultural revolution. To say, what do I mean by that? Well, automatization, the perhaps the beginning of AI, and the large gap between wealth. Those are going to be some serious cultural problems. We already see it happening in the United States, where the rich are getting richer, and the middle class disappearing, the poor getting even more poor. And we see this in a lot of countries happening. So what I predict in that area is there will be some class divide. Like in order to fight climate change, they propose all these measurements like electric cars. But imagine all when even in only Europe where I live, I don't see it happen. That all the cars are replaced with electric cars. Where I don't think there are enough precious metals in the world to uh, pull off some such thing. I'm guessing cars will be only available for essential travel or jobs or for the people who can and pay for it. So that's what I'm afraid of that will be certain in the future. Talking about precious metals, um, I foresee conflict about energy and resources in the future. What do I mean by that? Well, at the moment, the dollar from the United States of America is the reserve currency to which a lot of economies are tied to. Why? Because United States have spent so much on their military budget. And why? If you have a military that is strong enough to defend your currency, other countries and economies will link theirs to yours for security. But since a lot of problems in the United States, the rise of cryptocurrency and the rise of China to challenge the United States as a global power, this will be lead to some conflict, to say the least. Um, we can see this happening in a few examples. The fall of Afghanistan. That's a real problem because what's happening now? Chinese investors and companies, which are by the states in their politics, are getting contracts and rights to essential precious minerals and the mines like copper, lithium, and many other uh, metals for production, for the how do you say, for the development and the production of electric vehicles, chips, technology, um, cell phones, which is very will be necessary in the to comes when your economy needs to dominate. What is China also doing? China is building infrastructure in African countries. Why would they do that? Well, they give loans, they build railroads, they build markets, and that's what they really want. They want a new market to first of all improve their economy. Second problem is for when there is to be prepared for a global war, to say. Because what is China also doing? They're investing and how do you say that? They invest and building up their army and their naval capabilities. Why? Because they want to dominate the Pacific so they can have a clear way to their new markets. Because when they're in conflict or when they have embargoes with the NATO, like United States, Europe, they lose a lot of money. So that's why they weren't going to war in the first place. So with a new market to get their products to, that's that will give them more lineage. They also building their navy for dominating the Pacific when they want to take in Taiwan. Taiwan is I would advise to read a history on it with the Chinese Civil War, and um, and then you will understand why the communist China want to take Taiwan. It's a promise they were taking very serious to once conquer it, and the time may be somewhere in the future, maybe soon, perhaps. But when that happens, the that's basically a red flag for America, who will try to intervene with an alliance with Australia and New Zealand, Korea, South Korea, and Japan. So this will be the conflict zone that will be most likely. So when that not happens, they have their clear way to their new markets. But to be honest, I don't expect a full world war like many people fear. It's more like assuring dominance on the global map, to say. So I don't foresee a nuclear war. I'm not really seeing that happen. There is too much at stake, especially with when nuclear powers, China, America, they have both nuclear weapons. They will not risk it. It's like the MAT doctrine. I don't foresee Russia will try to show his muscles, but I do not really think they would want to risk a nuclear war too. So these are my main concerns for what will happen in the future. So the biggest danger is climate change. Prepare for it. Um, make your own house in order to say when you want to prepare for this stuff. Make plans, even make community, um, especially your health. Keep that on shape for when you have to go through the hard times. So these are just my thoughts about what will happen in the future. I hope you learn something from it. It will make you look up some information. Um, I hope you will look at the information objectively. Don't look at one news source. Look at different news sources and what they have in common. That is usually kind of the truth. So, especially watch out for that. Make your own mind. Don't be biased. Um, and yeah, don't be afraid. I would say when it happens, it happens. There's nothing one person can do. We will see what history will make of it, and just live life. Don't live in fear, but just be prepared for it. That's all what I'm trying to say here. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.